So in the wake of the massive response nationwide to the efforts of the young activists from Parkland, there's been something that's entered the conversation about why did America not respond that way to black youth that were protesting for their lives for the last few years in the wake of Black Lives Matter. Why isn't there a march for all of the people, the youth in Flint, Michigan, that continue to not have access to clean water due to the fault of the government, right? And yet still don't have access to that. Where's the massive march for undocumented youth who lost their, the DACA program and became, subject to deportation, right? Like, why is it that this movement got a broad support and others have not? I think that's an important conversation to be had, and I think a lot of the youth are actually having those conversations. I've been really happy to see that a lot of the youth that have organized from Parkland have been putting that out there into the conversation of the media is ignoring our black peers within our school about this, let alone black youth across the nation, and trying to draw attention to that. And I think it's really admirable. And so we ended up having a conversation in my Race in the U.S. class about this idea of allyship and the difference between true, real allyship and kind of ally theater, and where's the line and what do we ask people to do with this, because I think there's a valid criticism, right? Like David Hogg, who's one of the young activists, made the comment that the media was ignoring his peers, of his black peers, and that it was disgusting, right? And so, something I saw online said, well, then why didn't he refuse to be on the Time cover unless they included some of his black peers? And this is not against David Hogg or against any of the youth that are organizing. I think that they are, they're learning how to be activists and how to be good allies, and how intersectionality plays a role in all this. And I think they're doing, a really admirable job, especially compared to a lot of other activism spaces. But the end result is still the same, right? Like, he was able to get a level of attention on the national stage. And how do you, it's not that he didn't earn that or didn't work hard for it or shouldn't be receiving the recognition, right? Like, the question is, who is not getting that recognition? And as a white man in a position of privilege, my whole position has always been to be aware of the space that we're taking up in it and to amplify voices. And that means sometimes passing the mic, sometimes it means sharing the mic. And so I don't know, I got really honest with my students about Luke and I being finalists for the Social Justice Activist Award last year and being white men in that space and how that felt. And, we kind of talk about the Macklemore and the Adele issues of winning these awards and then claiming that a black artist deserved them more, and yet they still submitted their work to be in competition with them, knowing the benefits of white privilege. And when they got the results of privilege, they gave lip service to this other work deserved it more, but they didn't remove themselves from the equation, and they also didn't actually give the award away, right? And so, and I think since I didn't win the award last year, I think it's really easy for me to sit here and judge and to say things, but I think about what that looks like, right? Like, it's not saying that people don't deserve, white people don't deserve recognition and don't deserve it. It's saying that historically and currently, our privilege gives us more opportunity to be recognized and gives us better access to resources, media, and audiences and things like that. And so how can we lift up our peers of color with the privilege that we get, right? And not make the focus all about us, but actually sharing it. And so I'm just challenged to continue to think about that in my work. We had a great conversation of the youth, when is it appropriate to kind of step back or to withdraw yourself from consideration for an award, or to that. And we talked about the processes, right, that are behind the decision making of who gets recognized, right? It isn't Parkland students' fault that the media is not talking to their black peers, right? That's a media issue. It's not necessarily it's nobody's fault that 4 of the 8 finalists for the Social Justice Activism Award last year were white men, right? Like people saw the work they were doing and recognized them and put it in, right? But it's the systems in place that allow the perpetuation of privilege, right? To be a deciding factor and to be that important in considering those things. And so how do we make our systems better that we recognize everybody and the contributions they do and the work that they do, and value that and give accolades for that. And sometimes that means we got to give up. So sit with that, right? Like as allies in doing this work, when is the spotlight coming on to you, and when can you divert some of that spotlight away, share the spotlight, or just get out of it completely and allow it. Like if you've already been recognized, stepping back the next time and allowing other people to be recognized. So anyway, just my thoughts today on allyship and the Parkland shooting and the March for Our Lives that's been going on. So we'll see you tomorrow.